Steiner wrote over 30 books, quite famous and was quite famous in Central Europe at the beginning of the 20th century, giving over 6,000 lectures, while often during his last years these lectures were attended by thousands. There was no way the Church was unaware of this voice crying in the wilderness of scientific materialism. Remember, Christ is the truth, and we have nothing to fear from seeking the truth. Let me now take up some small examples of this ongoing work, which are related to each other, although sometimes separated, as if involving different fields. Just as modern science often overemphasizes the distinctions between disciplines, their reality is only truly understood when they are integrated. So we have, as a ripening fruit of the new thinking, what is called in separation biodynamic agriculture, anthroposophical medicine, and Goethean science. All three of these are joined in their contributions to the health of the human being and are filled from within by knowledge of the spirit, which has now been added to the knowledge of matter. The human being, while on the earth between birth and death, is both matter and spirit, and many problems of humanity today cannot be solved without first understanding and then realizing in practice the integration of the relevant spiritual facts with the relevant material facts. Below, I can only skip across the surface of this knowledge like a flat rock thrown horizontally onto the surface of a deep pond or lake. The details are too vast, which is why those who take up this work make for themselves new religious-like careers. What was formerly heretical thinking is no longer to be confined to the monastery or the convent, and now comes full board into the light of day. The more general of these interrelated disciplines is called Goethean science, and one can find excellent examples of its practice on the website The Nature Institute. The new thinking mysteries begin with the metamorphosis of ordinary cause and effect abstract thinking into what is best called organic thinking, and sometimes called Goetheanism, after the poet-scientist Goethe, who was among the first who instinctively practiced it. This organic thinking naturally grows into pure thinking, which is similar in a way to the high-level concentrated thinking of the pure mathematician, but which is in a way more conscious of what it's up to as a type of pure thinking, because it is filled from within, from the beginning, with fully intended moral purposes. On the Nature Institute, one can come upon many works, and here is just a good example, by Stephen Talbot, on making the genome whole, where current advances in the investigation of the nature of the cell reveal more and more that the natural scientists can no longer hold to the view that the DNA is the cause of all living processes, but that if we honestly view what goes on in the cell as understood today, the part does not determine the whole, but rather the whole determines the part. This idea is significant for all human knowledge, particularly that concerning our health. As well, the human being needs food in order to live. We are all aware today how poorly run is the social system that delivers food to our tables. Nutrition is a core aspect of health, particularly of the physical body. A doctor acquaintance of mine, deeply familiar with biodynamic agriculture and anthroposophical medicine, has made the following statements in conversation to me, concerning which I then offer my own elaboration. These statements are said, not exactly sarcastically, but somewhat sad, and yet at the same time with a certain force of personality. The chief cause of death in America is the American doctor. By this he did not mean to morally blame, but to point out the fact that the ignorance of the relationship between spirit and matter that so pervades modern medicine, this ignorance kills. The modern doctor frequently misdiagnoses and then compounds that error by using a sledgehammer when a butterfly kiss is more therapeutic. All we have to do is listen to the ads for modern medicine and all their deadly side effects to realize that whatever the understanding of medical science is today, it actually knows a great deal less than it pretends. Because this ignorance is culture-wide, that as almost everyone assumes that it is the best understanding, scientific materialism lives inside modern medicine as a kind of religion. And just like the Catholic Church in the 16th century, when its beliefs were challenged by the early natural scientists, modern science will brand all spiritual views as heretical and seek to punish those who disagree. But medicine is more art than science, and the true practice of healing requires more than arid facts, numbers, and countless tests with machines. My friend also said, "The reason people are obese is not because they eat too much, but because they are starving." The physical body is a work of wonder, about which we can have a great deal to learn. See the essays, one on the genome mentioned above, where if you want to get at the core of this drastically incomplete knowledge, remember that at the cutting edge of cell biology is emerging the idea that DNA in the cell is no longer the chief cause of bodily function and form, but rather the whole determines the parts. Now this confounds the biologists, for it makes of the living once more a mystery. In the light of this, from the side of a spirit-oriented understanding of nutrition, my doctor acquaintance was pointing out that the body knows that there is almost no real nutrition in the foods agribusiness provides through our grocery stores. As a consequence, the wisdom of the body is always telling us to eat more and more and eat more because we are nutritionally starving. All of us eat food with little nutrition, but the obviously obese are just those with a body type and a typical internal chemistry that more readily transforms sugars into stored fats. Everyone, whatever body type, can't get real nutritious food in the grocery store, and this is the cause of a great many illnesses, both physical and mental. Processed foods, which are too often agricultural waste, transformed into profit-making, highly advertised junk, with a lot of sugar added so that we get the illusion of renewed energy, and a lot of salt added so that we get the illusion that these things taste good, are killing us in the same way the doctor is killing us, through greed and arrogant ignorance. Food grown on farms is meant to keep us alive, not kill us. To keep us alive, it has itself to contain life. The food has to be itself alive. Modern farming practices, such as the organic movement fully knows, produce foods that look good, with a lot of help from fake added color and surface oiling, but which don't deliver actual nutrition. The materialist will argue that there is no proof of this, but his idea of proof is confused. The real experiment is and has been being done on a massive worldwide scale on all human beings, and while we may not yet fully appreciate the exact causal mechanism, what the materialist demands as proof, the history of the last 150 years reveals clearly the arriving of all kinds of illnesses in connection with the changes in the growth of food and the simultaneous creation of the picture of the human being as a mechanism, as only matter. You can't see what you don't look for, and having assumed away spiritual concepts of the human being, it is no wonder today that science has such trouble finding it.